This is Mehak, Saleem, and I'm presenting case study 2. The client is a 4-year-old boy with autism and is currently attending the clinic 4 times a week from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. He lives with his mom, dad, and his 2 brothers that are older than him. He enjoys superheroes and playing with new toys. He has difficulty articulating his words, and other people often have trouble understanding him. This usually causes some yelling and tantrum behaviors. He often struggles with accepting denied access to preferred items and activities, and will engage in yelling and throwing stuff when asked to share his toys. His PCP recommended ABA services to address his tantrum and aggression and to develop age-appropriate skills. Assessments the analyst conducted were the VB map, which was administered during 2-hour sessions. The FBA was conducted to determine the function of the client's aggression and tantrums. The FBA included direct observation, ABC data, and the FAST administered to mom and dad. A violin was also conducted to measure his adaptive behavior. The function of clients' behaviors were socially mediated because socially mediated consequences were delivered by another individual. The first target behavior was throwing objects. It was any instance of client taking an object and throwing it at a distance of at least 1 feet, which may or may not make contact with someone or something. The function of his throwing objects was determined to be socially immediate access to preferred items or activities. So he would engage in throwing objects when he wanted a toy or to continue playing. Aggression was any instance of kicking, punching, or shoving another individual. The function of his aggression was socially immediate escape from non-preferred tasks. So when he didn't want to finish his work or move away from something, or if he didn't want to clean up his toys, he would start engaging in aggression. Tantrums were any instance of client engaging in whining, crying, or screaming. These can be happening all together or separately. An example would be client crying and yelling when he didn't want to hear his toy back. Now, an example includes any instance of client crying when he fell down or was hurt. The function of client's tantrum behaviors is socially immediate access to attention, preferred items, and socially immediate escape from non-preferred tasks. So he would engage in crying or yelling if he didn't want to come inside the clinic, engage in tantrum behavior. If he wanted to get a toy that another peer had, he would be engaging in tantrum behaviors. Sometimes to gain access to a preferred toy in the store, he would or get mom's attention, he would engage in tantrum behaviors. The intervention plan included antecedent manipulations, replacement behaviors, and consequence strategies. The client was provided choices between activities. He will be allowed to transition with 1 item instead of 5 to 10, which was his baseline. Client will be taken to the bathroom every 30 minutes to support in toilet training. Discrete trial training will be used to teach letter and number identifications as well as colors. He will attend the clinic 4 times a week from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for skill acquisition and to teach appropriate replacement behaviors. The replacement behaviors that we are teaching are to request transitions, request breaks, and to use words to ask for help instead of engaging in tantrums. Natural environment teaching will be used to tolerate denied access to preferred items and to transition without maladaptive behaviors. So in the natural environment, we are teaching him to share his items. If he does not share his items, then he starts engaging in challenging behaviors. We stop the play and he's redirected to work. He is being taught to engage in turn taking using a visual timer. He's allowed to play with his toy for 2 minutes or another person's toy, and then he has to give it up. If he does not give it up or engage in challenging behaviors, then he stops his play and is redirected to work once again. Consequence strategies in place are operant extinction. Operant extinction was used to prevent him from gaining access to preferred items and activities when he engages in the maladaptive or challenging behavior. So if he's engaging in tantrums, to get a toy, he will not have access to that toy. The fun or the play activity will stop and he will be redirected to work. If client engages in maladaptive behavior, we're going to redirect him and request him to ask for help or use one of his replacement strategies. We also teaching him self-management procedures, for example, deep breathing to utilize when he's feeling overwhelmed or angry, or if he wants access to something that he can't have. Labeling his emotions is another strategy we use. Parents are trained on the consequential strategies to prevent reinforcing the maladaptive behaviors. His reinforcement system involves a token board that we use, a superhero token board. He uses it exclusively during discrete trial training to encourage compliance and to increase work activities. He earns the reinforcement system at a variable ratio of 1. So if he is following directions or completing tasks, 1 to 3 tasks, he will earn 1 token, superhero token. And when he earns all 5, he gains access to any reinforcer he wants. Usually it is the gym, which is a generalized reinforcer. In the gym, he can gain access to the slide, the toys, anything that he wants during that time period. He can also gain access to unconditioned reinforcers in the form of snacks or juice once he earns all his 5 tokens. Stimulus control was used to address maladaptive behavior. So he would only be able to get reinforcement during the time period when the token board is presented. The token board has stimulus control because it signals to the client that reinforcement in the form of tokens will be available. And once he earns all 5 tokens, then he can gain access to his play breaks, to his reinforcements. The request by peer to use a toy has a stimulus control because if he shares that toy, he gains access to extra playtime and he gets a special reinforcer that we reserve for that. The progress with the intervention. The first token board we used with the client had 5 train tokens, which wasn't as motivating to the client, and we didn't see much compliance or progress with that. Once we moved on from that to the superhero tokens, the superhero token itself was very reinforcing. We saw an increase in compliance, increase in work, and we use errorless learning to teach numbers and letter identification. We saw him make progress with identifying 2 letters, 2 numbers, and 2 colors. The use of the superhero token board also led to decrease in escape maintained behaviors, escape maintained throwing objects, or aggression. We saw less of that once we implemented the token board. We consistently taught the replacement behaviors, and that led to a reduction in tantrums during cooperative play and in the natural environment. We will continue to use this intervention plan because we have seen an increase in skill acquisition and decrease in challenging behaviors. Thank you for your time.